In today's video, we're going to be going over a severe nor'easter pattern that we're going to be set into that's going to bring a flooding and wind risk as well as some snowfall in the east that we need to go over today. Some colder air on the way at times. Some Arctic blasts are going to be in our future here over the next 10 days that we do need to go over, and just prominent snowfall over the west, continuously battering them with snowstorm after snowstorm. Before we dive into all of this, be sure to check out Prestige Weather in the description and pinned comment down below, as well as the top right corner of your screen, where we do weather consulting for individuals and businesses alike. You can check it out today for only $5 a month. And we do offer access to all of our early access to our seasonal and monthly videos over there. So be sure to check it out today. Let's just dive into things. I want to take us towards tomorrow afternoon. This is going to be another later video coming out a little bit later. We can see this low really taking hold here over the south, a little bit of a cold front type boundary, warm front here, but it's a little unorganized. It's a little weak, so it makes sense. And for now, that's the only real storm happening over the nation. By the time we reach Tuesday, we see this one kind of just rising up as 1005 over Lake Erie there. You could clearly see the cold front now taking place. Some colder air trying to dive in behind this one. So that is going to be a factor. And also the surging warm air out west at the same time is certainly going to pose a threat to really just amplify that cold pattern in the east overall. Wednesday, we see this kind of transitions more towards a nor'easter over around Cape Cod, although, you know, that type of really micro detail could change, of course. We do see heavy snowfall taking place from the White Mountains of New Hampshire into the northern regions of Maine, so keep that in mind that is upcoming for the midweek just before Thanksgiving. By the time we do reach Thanksgiving, what we end up with is a pretty nice pattern, this kind of just progressive jet stream, a lot less cold than we originally anticipated. This is one of those kind of rare failures here where the models just really failed to grasp the pattern overall. It does happen from time to time, and I usually try to mention it when there is a severe failure here in the outlook, and that is one of them. As we were calling for a pretty brutal Thanksgiving, it turned around in a hurry and ended up being what now appears like a very pleasant Thanksgiving for most folks, unless you're there in the Northwest where they're experiencing some snowfall, or here in Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, where there is some thunderstorms around and some Gulf moisture. Outside of those two areas, very nice weather overall. Now, as we reach towards Friday on November 24th, we see this snowfall expanding here for the Rockies, and we see a lot of this storminess in the east kind of surging up northward. So keep that in mind as we're going to be watching this very closely. And overall, as we progress towards Saturday morning on the 25th, we do end up seeing quite a bit of snowfall up and down this area here. As this trough is very slanted, we have a low to the south here, and there's mostly snowfall showers here through the Ohio Valley. It's a lot more persistent once we reach the Adirondacks, the Green Mountains, and the White Mountains of New Hampshire. So basically New England for the most part, as well as the Southern Rockies seeing quite a bit of moderate to heavy snowfall here on Saturday the 25th. As you can see, this begins to become a lot more major in a hurry. 995 there just to the south of Long Island. Pretty classic location for a storm to be. For this type of storm, we see northern Pennsylvania into New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine seeing heavy snowfall as a result of this. Potentially our first major winter storm of the season. Overnight, just to the east of Boston, we do see snowfall pretty much progressing southward because of this cold air damming happening to the west. So keep in mind, this is still just a typical low here, right? It is a nor'easter. We have a warm front that's now offshore, and you have this cold front underneath. And once that cold front passes through, it allows for cold air to very quickly surge to the south, and that's why we're seeing a lot of areas switch over to snowfall behind this system. Keep in mind, this could be a very major snowfall event for New York, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. And we could see this change a lot, but it does have a lot of potential here, I guess is all I'm trying to really say. Just because of the amplitude of this storm in particular, the location and the timing with the cold air, it is drawing some red flags, but it is still rather far out, so keep that in mind. As we just move towards Sunday, that one moves out. We have cold air left over, very severe Arctic air actually for the most part. I want to take us towards Tuesday. We have a lot of southern moisture kind of traveling along this southern jet. You could really see where the jet streams are. I think this is a good opportunity to present this to you guys, but we see something like this with the southern jet, and then we see something like this with the northern jet, and they're pretty much together at this point. So keep this in mind. A lot of your moisture and storms are moving along this southern jet, which we see happening. And then a lot of the cold air is coming from this northern jet. So they're both kind of doing different things, but they're both jet streams. And this, in the wintertime, would be a very, very favorable snowfall pattern. We don't see that end up taking place here, of course, as it's a little early on. But potentially some more major storms developing along this southern jet, going to kind of ride out to this area, could pose more risks here for the northeast corner. So we are watching this very closely. I'm keeping up to date with every single model run. If you want more frequent updates, you can of course join Prestige Weather. It's only $5 a month, and we post a lot more in there for our clients. So again, unbeatable price of $5. Obviously, check it out today. Again, in the pinned comment and description down below. Let's just dive into the precipitation, and it's clear again where this southern jet is coming from. It's doing something like this for a lot of the model run. And you can see that we don't really get much precipitation outside of this southern jet. So it really, really is the driving force behind a lot of our storms that are happening over the next 10 days. We see severe amounts of precipitation along the Gulf Coast and up the East Coast. So keep that in mind, that this is 2 to 5 inches of precipitation potentially. And that is a lot for a 10-day period. Even in the summertime, this would be a lot, let alone late November. As we transition towards snowfall, we can see out west really plentiful amounts and really widespread snowfall. So all of our mountain ranges are pretty much seeing a dumping of snowfall. No blizzards or anything obviously here, but there's a pretty healthy 6 to 10, 10 to 12, maybe even more inches of snowfall happening for many of the folks here that I circled. In the northeast here, it's going to be, again, pretty exclusive for those New England regions. Let's just zoom into the northeast real quickly. I think this will give us a really good perspective here. And we can see that currently this model is calling for 10 inches plus for a lot of the Adirondacks, into the Green Mountains, into the White Mountains, and then into northern Maine. So keep that in mind, that these areas are potentially going to be talking about a plowable snowfall event here in the pretty near future. It is, again, still very, very long range, so we are taking it with a grain of salt, but the potential is there for sure. Things could move around, or they could stay exactly the same. You just never know in the weather, and that's what makes it so difficult, but equally makes it so interesting. Temperature pattern, we're just going to move past it. We know we're heading into a warmer pattern for a little bit. We get a brief cool down here around Thanksgiving Day, and then it kind of stays more neutral, if anything, and then we get more potent cold air around the weekend, so Saturday the 25th into Sunday the 26th, and then we get an even more potent one towards the end of the model run for the midweek after that weekend, which will be around Wednesday, November 29th. We're going to continue to keep you guys up to date with all of this, so be sure to subscribe for more weather videos just like this one. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.